Hello everyone, my name's Neil. If you haven't seen my videos, I do videos on chronic illness. I have end-stage liver disease, and I have a connective tissue disorder called hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and a feeding tube, and a bunch of other good fun stuff that go with it. Today, before I get started, I wanted to talk a little bit here about someone that needs some help. Somebody in my church, a young family in the church, have a 6-year-old son, and I've mentioned this once before. The boy's name is Mattias. He's 6, and he had gotten really sick and wound up being in the hospital, and they weren't really sure what was causing it at the time, and they sent him home. Well, then it all happened again, and they finally wound up getting a diagnosis and finds out that he's got leukemia. Well, on top of that, he's also autistic and nonverbal, which makes it even, more difficult for him to communicate, how he's feeling and all those things too that go with it. There's going to be a GoFundMe link to the About section in this video for helping his family through this situation. And, no matter what you're going through, it can be really difficult, especially when it comes to chronic illness. And the specialty hospitals, like for me, are about 4 hours from here, and they're in the same situation. So it's not only that, it's the long trips and all that. And right now, Mattias is in the hospital, and he started his chemo, and also, like I said, they're a young family, and they have a couple other boys, and with all that situation, that makes it very difficult. And any of these situations can be difficult, especially having a young child go through this, because you're worried about that young child. And not only that, it's a stress because you have one family member at the house trying to get the other, two ready for school, and then the other one there, and back and forth, and then taking time off work. And that can be extremely difficult and costly, especially for these trips back and forth, and the stays and the medical expenses and all of that. So if you can help with that, that will be linked to the About section. Be super grateful. And what I want to say about these situations, no matter what you're going through chronic illness wise, or whatever that might be, for me, and the same for Mattias and his family, they do believe in God. And, it's one of those things where he doesn't promise that you're not ever going to get sick or nothing will happen if you believe in him. But he does say that he'll give you the grace, and he really has. And, they're really holding it together pretty good. The best they can for the situation. And in my life, God has always given me the grace to deal with it. And I haven't always paid attention to it. I've made my mistakes, and, you can't always get those things back, the things that I did in the past and who I was in the past, and mistakes made, and things lost. Those things, you may wind up losing those things, and it hurts. It's hard. And God does give the strength to be able to get through that. And Mattias and his family could really use some prayers right now for the healing, and that this chemo would work, and that they caught it early enough, and also safe travel back and forth, and just holding it together, as a family, and during the stressful time, because on everybody, this situation can be really stressful. And even if you're going through chronic illness, and no matter how severe you may feel that is, or how severe it is, or, you may look at somebody else and say, oh, well, this person's worse than me, or, this person's got it worse, I shouldn't complain. Well, here's the thing with chronic illness. You are who you are, and the things that you go through, maybe somebody else is going through something different, or what you may deem as harder. but whatever the worst thing that's happened to you is the worst thing that's happened to you, and you can't devalidate that. Yeah, I mean, you can't devalidate that, and you have to be able to push forward and realize that your needs are important, and that this does matter, and some things are harder to do, and you can't always do all those things that maybe you used to be able to do, and you may have a lot of worry on your mind. For me, with the chronic, with the end stage liver disease, eventually it's going to come back, and it's going to wind up turning really bad, and when it does, it's going to happen pretty quick. And because my liver is already, there's nothing really left to it. Ironically, the connective tissue disorder has allowed excess room for varices, which are enlarged veins, because your main vein that goes through the liver gets pinched off, and then it causes a backup. Well, because these organs had moved, it's allowed for these excess varices, which is taking the pressure off my liver for now. But, eventually it's going to turn bad. And, as far as transplant goes, I don't have a support system necessarily. In fact, I'm by myself. It's just me. I don't have anybody here, friends, or, I'm starting to meet some people through the church and everything. But, then again, when you're going on a liver transplant, they require somebody, to take care of you for 6 months and to pretty much be there with you for those 6 months. And that's just something I don't have. And I'm not angry about that or upset about that. It is what it is, and when it happens, and if I pass on, I hope for the grace to do so, peacefully. And, God has given me that strength, and, I don't know what I would do without it right now, and the funny thing is, it's a gift. He doesn't care what you've done, as long as you're sorry for those mistakes you've made. And we all are sinners, and we all make mistakes, and we all have, let him down. And yet he continues to offer that grace and that love. And I find that amazing. And that does give me strength to push on. And Mattias and his family are the same way as far as that goes. So I'm very happy for them for that. But this is a hard time, for them. And I'm, whatever you're going through, as well, if you clicked on this video, I'm sure you're dealing with some kind of chronic illness or a family member that's dealing with it. And, there is strength there, and, with that grace, and, it's a blessing, and, he'll give you that strength to push on and to carry on. And I truly believe that. And, well, this isn't going to be a long video today. I just wanted to bring that up and mention the GoFundMe that I'm going to link to it and everything. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And then also, if you'd like to follow, click the follow button. And I thank everybody for their comments and for, the conversations in the comments. They are amazing, and I love reading them. I really do. And if I've missed a few here and there, I do apologize. I do try to get to them as quickly as I can. All right. Thank you, everybody, and I hope that everybody stays blessed. Keep pushing on.